Plastic soup is how environmental scientist Jocelyn Kaiser describes our oceans today. According to a study done in 2015 by National Geographic, 8 million tons of plastic alone is dumped into our oceans every year. It is estimated that by the time 2050 comes around, there will even be more plastic in the oceans than fish. So how do we help? While we may make up a smaller amount of polluters in the grand scheme of things, we as a community at Western Michigan University should strive to make an impact, big or small. Today I will discuss ways in which Western Michigan University can become a greener, more sustainable environment, thus making life on and around campus better. As a past member of Students for Sustainability, I worked with Western students in the past to discuss ways that we could help just better the planet in general. I believe I have some insight into some strategies and different tactics that we can all use to achieve and implement our goal. As discussed previously, plastic consumption around the world is a huge problem. It's not just an issue with plastic either, it's all sorts of contaminants that can get into our oceans and into our wildlife. Speaking of just plastics, however, non-reusable bags, food wraps, straws, this list just goes on, honestly. Plastic is affecting our ecosystems. Birds are confusing bottle caps for food, and turtles are swallowing plastic bags and getting it into their digestive tracts and dying. Not only does this hurt our ocean life, but wildlife and people in general. And according to Stephanie Wright in her article, Plastic and Human Health, chemical toxicity from environmental pollutants in our food, water, and air is a huge detriment towards our health. Wright even goes as far to say that if something doesn't change soon, toxins and microplastics in our food, air, and water are going to be inevitable. The abuse of single-use plastic is getting completely out of hand, and when we look at this use surrounding university students, we can see why. At the University of Alabama, a study was conducted regarding single-use shopping bags, and the study looked at whether or not students would even use them, reuse them, recycle them, etc. And even when we look at Western Michigan University, all of the statistics are basically the same. Overall, students went with convenience. And half agreed that while convenience is good, the other half is our environment becoming polluted. The common denominator is obviously convenience. However, both studies also concluded that university students were very willing to change if there was an alternative available. And at Western Michigan University, we do have pre-existing tools to our advantage, such as Bronco bikes, where a Western student can rent a bike and ride it around campus, ride it to wherever they need. It's a rentable bike that we as students can use. We also have the Office of Sustainability, which can provide students with all things green and recycling, and you can also go there to dispose of your recyclables. We also have the bottle refill stations almost everywhere on campus. I don't think that I've ever walked into a building where I haven't seen one right when I walked in, but you can bring your reusable or non-reusable plastic water bottles and fill them on up. Many students are actually very unaware of this, and marketing can really help our plastic consumption, CO2 consumption, and recycling efforts. Another thing that we can really look into when we're thinking green and environmentally is phasing out single-use plastics. The University of California has actually taken huge steps recently to push forward progress in eliminating their non-reusable plastics by incentivizing vendors to develop reusable alternatives and compostable packaging. By supporting, as supported by everything that I stated previously, it is possible to take a greener step and a greener outlook on university campuses. Western Michigan University can become a greener and more sustainable environment just by making these steps and using the tools that are already available to us, and by bringing awareness, honestly. These options are already available, and if we demand change, and it can be made soon, then our ecosystems will still be alive in 2050. And although all of these actions may seem tedious, no act is too small for a Western Michigan University student.